Hello everyone, welcome to Predators Golf Channel. This is John and welcome to my home club, Wilton Golf Club, and today's video is going to be about everything that I've learned from particular players, most commonly for Phil Mickelson. Obviously is about 80% of it. Gary Player I've learned from, Lee Trevino, all these guys about how to play aggressive winning golf. Okay, a few things that I'm going to say in this video might be a little bit, well, I wouldn't say controversial, but it goes against the textbook. Okay, it's not what PGA professionals will teach you. PGA professionals will tell you about using shots, playing to your handicap, try and be the most consistent, as in not being aggressive, but being most get consistent scores, just accumulate a score together. This isn't about this. What I've learned is that's okay for PGA professionals. It's okay for the guys at the very top level looking for consistency. We've got 4 rounds. We've only got 1 round, and really we've got a blitzer field. And this is what I've learned from Phil, Lee Trevino, as I say, lads like Ian Poulter, Padres Harrington, Gary Player, another big influence. And it's just putting it all together for you to give you the most simple and most aggressive technique there is to basically win a competition. And it's going to be everything. It's going to be from putting to the short game, bunker play, short game, chipping 101, all these things that you've learned before, the hinge and hold technique. I'll briefly go through the hinge and hold technique. It's a very simple formula for wedge play. How to shot shape, how to hit bombs, how to hit to counteract the wind, how to manipulate and manipulate the ball flight high and low. And lastly, we're going to go into the mindset. The mindset of consistency just doesn't work. We need to broaden it up a little bit here. We've got 18 holes. We've got to try and blitz 18 holes. Now, you're not going to do this consistently. To me, maybe 1 in 15 rounds is a big success. If you come out there and you blitz a field in 1 in 15 rounds, you've done your job. It's not about consistency. To me, shooting your handicap in a competition, in golf, there's first place, second, third, we all know that, but I just see first place and then the rest of the field. That's how I've been brought up, obviously, from a cricket background. My friend Gary's exactly the same, from a football background. And we look at it differently. We look at it as, you're there to win the competition. You're not there to shoot your handicap. You've got to look to shoot 5 or 6 under your handicap. Obviously, there's other ways of doing it, which we'd never do. But there's a lot of golfers out there just happy to get the ball round the course and everything, shoot their handicap, and that's not going to win. Especially handicap competitions, sort of mid-handicappers, high handicappers, even the high-end single-figure handicappers, that's not going to win your competitions. There's a different formula, there's a different theory, there's a different practice. That the big ambassador for this has been Phil Mickelson, and he's proved to be a major winner. When Tiger was in his prime, he's been a proven winner. And it's what I believe in, to try and blitz 18 holes rather than be consistent. And it has worked for me. It's worked for others who've done it. Phil's at the top levels, a prime example, was 6 majors, 45 PGA Tour wins. It does work, and it's what I believe in, and this is what I'm going to try and teach you. And obviously, after all the simple techniques, the most aggressive techniques I'm going to teach you, I'm going to try and explain the mindset and how if you're after 9 holes and you're 5, 6, 7 over your handicap, don't worry about it. Keep going, because one day it'll happen for you where 18 holes, the play will come off for you, and you'll come off and you'll think, Jesus, I've shot 5 under my handicap and I've won a competition. That's how you do it. Consistency, unfortunately, at amateur level, as I've learned the hard way over 4 years of golf, isn't consistent, because it doesn't win anything. So hopefully this'll give you a new sort of perspective, and it's down to you whether or not you want to go for this. It's like I say, I'm sort of old school in the way my attitude towards playing is old school, in that I'm pretty hard, and I'm not soft with myself and all that kind of stuff. But I'm also a maverick, like Phil, like Gary Player, like all these, Lee Trevino, all these fellas who try and look outside the textbook and say, look, there's an easier way to play this game, there's a more aggressive way to play this game, and there's an easier way to win at this game. Hopefully this'll help you. And yeah, so let's get started with the putting to start off with, and we'll take it from there. Yeah, onto the putting. Right, so if anyone's wondering why I've changed my top and my kit and everything, it's because today's Sunday, not Friday. The putting video and a couple of other things weren't particularly great, so we've changed it around a little bit. Right, so yeah, the first stage is putting. Okay, so putting to me is probably it's 40% of the game, isn't it? It's 40% of the game, putting. It's probably the simplest thing out of everything in golf, but yet I see so many amateurs spend the probably percentage-wise, they should be spending, I would say, 2/5 of the time on putting, and the neglect it so much. Now, I don't know why that is. I don't know why people like to concentrate more on hitting balls, hitting it long and all that kind of stuff first, because basically, essentially, a tear starts, well, here, putting. That's where it all starts. If you can't putt, you'll not get a tear. It's as simple as that. Now, I did it before with my video. Everybody obviously knows I did it before with my video where I explained in little patches what the different things are to be aggressive. I've obviously put it all together now, so sorry if this is repeating itself, but for those of you who are new or pick on something, just know the vast majority of this. Obviously, this is for the mid to high handicappers, how to improve and how to play aggressive winning golf. It's not about real consistency, but it's about being aggressive and being aggressively, consistently aggressive. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, I explained it before about lone balls and everything. I said about lone balls, didn't I? And I'll just go through it again. I know you're not dummies, but if you're new, I'll just go exactly as sorry if I'm repeating myself, but obviously I did this the last time, but I'll do it again for you. Now, let's give an example here. Now, let's say it's 10-pin bowling, not lone balls. Let's say 10-pin bowling, because everyone at some point must have played 10-pin bowling. And basically, if I'm 10-pin bowling, okay, this is just to get the basic grasp of the putter face, why it's so important it needs to be straight, okay? So if we're putting in 10-pin bowling, let's say, and I decide to bowl inside, and I follow on through out towards the left, the ball's got to go over to the left-hand side. If I decide to bowl and I go outside in, it's got to go over to the right. If I decide to go inside and then back to the outside, it's got to go that way. If I bowl it dead straight, it's got to go straight to the target. Now, that's basic. The last video that I did in little sections, obviously I'm putting this all together. We know that's basic. It's just basic physics. We know what'll happen. But it's just to stress the importance of the putter face having to be square on impact. If it's not square on impact, it doesn't matter what we do. The ball's going to shoot off anyway, and you know, it doesn't matter if we had a perfect strike or not. The ball's going to go anywhere, and it's not going to go anywhere near the hole. So basically, there's a number of ways. First of all, how to keep the club face square. That's the first thing we need to know. Now, I'm not going to teach you all this complicated stuff. It's just basic stuff. But basically, there's different ways of trying to keep your club face square, and the simple basic things that don't really require a skilled PGA professional to tell you, really. The first thing, and the old method used to be, you used to put the ball for putting in the middle of the stance, and you used to put it, just drop it there where your nose is, and that used to be the basic grasp of it. I don't believe in any of that, to be honest, and I used to put like that, but a lot of amateurs, you see a lot of amateurs now, we've all got a knock. Everybody knows that there's some form of torquing and stuff with the putter, unless you've got one of these broom handle things where you hold it up here and you go like that, or you put like Bryson, which is very uncomfortable. Everyone's got some sort of knock. Nobody is going to put the ball in a dead straight line, in an absolute dead straight arc. Nobody can do it. It's impossible. There's always going to be, especially with the short putters. I've never even attempted with the long putter. I don't like the idea of them. And with the short putter, there's always going to be a little bit of turn, okay? But there's a number of ways we can try and prevent that. The first thing is, like I say, is putting the ball not to the middle, but to the front of the stance here. Now, I'll explain. I'll explain why. But first of all, we'll just go through the basic stuff that helps you keep it square and everything. The first way to do it is by having a slightly more open stance. Now, you'll see this when I'm putting. It's the same. A lot of amateurs, I see a lot of this. I see a lot of them going like this and then doing that. And another one I see is the head going up. So before they've hit the ball in the middle of the stance, watch what happens when the head goes up. The putter head naturally goes that way, and it pushes the putt over to the left. When you have it to the front of the stance, there's more chance, even if you are moving your head up, of the club squaring back up. So that's one reason to have it at the front of your stance. The second reason to have it at the front of your stance is, let's pretend, I'll explain how Phil did it. Phil explained it very well, actually. Say there's a fence over there, and there's I don't know, like a can of Coke or something. I'm trying to hit off the fence. Okay. Now, if I'm putting in the middle of my stance, okay, all this section here is blocked off. Front of the stance, I've got all the peripheral vision ahead of me, the break and everything of the putt. I can see exactly what I'm doing. It stops the ball from backspinning more, because you're putting more topspin on the ball. You're getting a more consistent roll. But you don't see a sniper. You wouldn't see a sniper going for the Coke can, shooting the rifle down like that. First of all, he hasn't got any sort of perception where the rifle is. It could be pointing up, it could be pointing down, it could be left, it could be right. You don't have a first clue. You'll never... If you get one of those rifles at the fair, you'll never shoot a can of Coke like that. You would never do it like that. You would look straight down the barrel, so everything's pointing in line with the target. So you've got a direct line of vision. And it's the same principle with putting. I used to believe in the middle of the stance, but now I've realised your field of vision here is blocked off. And not only that, there's a lot of advantages. It helps square the face up, because the face has got more time to square up, because it's going more around the arc, so it's going to square up better. You're going to have better peripheral vision. You're going to see all the break of the putt rather than having blocked off vision. And it's also going to give you a more consistent roll, because you aren't putting as much backspin on the ball, and it's also going to give you a more aggressive roll. So there's many advantages of having it to the front of the stance. Obviously, like I say, having a slightly open stance. So if you're more square up, there's more chance of you talking around like that and moving your body. Whereas if you open it up very slightly, there's more chance of it going nice and straight. That's another one. The third basic one, and I explained this before, is getting a toe heel putter. A lot of putters now are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's great. And all these centre shaft ones and these, well, mine is a lab putter, but we're talking about the big alien sort of putters and everything. They're getting heavier, and all the weight is getting distributed to the middle in the heel of the club. Now, that's not helping us to square the face up. If we have the weight, what I've got, a toe heel putter. Now, a lot of the weight is actually on the toe end of the putter. With the weight being all on the toe end of the putter, that helps us naturally square the face up as well. So, if we've got the weight here, it helps bring the weight round. It brings the weight. It forces the club to close naturally, square up, and it helps us strike the ball straighter as well off the face. Last one, like I say, I've did this before, was the grip. A nice decent sized grip. I've got a 2.0. Some people have 3.0s. These super strokes are quite good. A lot of putters still have the pencil style putter grips, and they're not very good in my opinion. I don't think they specifically help. With a smaller grip, it helps the putter torque and move about. A nice big thick grip that fits around your hands nicely. It's not going to move as much, so you've got stability there to keep the club face square as well. So they're just basic things to how to keep the face square. So now we know how to keep the club face square and everything. We've got to understand now how do we get a consistent strike. Now we're going more on to the actual, how do we get aggressive and consistent strike on the ball once we know how to square it up. So once we know how to square it up, we've got the basics of how to square it up. Now what we've got to understand is how do we get a consistent roll. The consistent roll comes by cutting out variables. Now the old system for putting used to be, we'll just imagine it's that leaf there. I'm not going to go all the way to the flag, it's too far. But let's imagine the old system. Now, the old system used to teach you, it was sort of, and I've seen a lot of high handicappers do this as well, where they're putting and they're basically doing a lazy swing and a lazy downswing. So it looks a little bit, I'm going to exaggerate it, but it looks a little bit like this when they're putting. Now that's no good, that's not consistent, that's not aggressive. I mean, even for short puts, and short puts, doing that as well, it just doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good, it doesn't look consistent, it doesn't look aggressive, it doesn't look as if you're committed. And there's too much going on. You're basically got one swing, the backswing and the downswing, and you're going at it's the downswing at a pace that dictates the backswing. So the backswing's exactly the same, but the downswing's just different paces. First of all, maybe professionals might get away with that, and I haven't seen many professionals putt like that. I certainly haven't seen people like Brad Faxon and good putters like Tiger and Phil and all these lads putt like that. I certainly haven't seen any of that. Gary Player, great putter, didn't do anything like that. Jack Nicklaus, even though he had a funny technique, he was a great putter. All these lads are great putters. But there's one thing that they did that kept it simple. They had the same downstroke every time, same pace of swing on the downstroke every time. And all they did was lengthen the backswing. And that's all we're doing. We have to cut out as many variables as we can instead of having two variables straight away. If we cut out the lazy backswing and the lazy downswing, we've cut out basically a variable already. So the only variable that we've got to dictate now is the backswing, okay? So basically, the downswing is the same pace every time. It doesn't matter. Say, for example, I'll try and get halfway to where this ball is. Say, for example, say a 6 foot putt. A 6 foot putt would be, okay, that's sort of your basic 6 foot putt. Okay, so I want to go to 9 feet now. All you're doing is the same downstroke, but it's along the backstroke. So for a 9 foot, you would just go, oh, hold on a minute, that was rubbish. That was rubbish. I've done my 6 footer there. A 9 footer would be, well, it would have been 9 foot, but there we go. But that would be your 9 footer. Then you say, right, I want to go for the 12 footer. It's just a longer backstroke, same aggressive stroke, and long and behold, oh, the ball's gone further. And that's basically just how we get a consistent stroke. It's very, very simple. All we're doing is lengthening the backstroke, but we're putting with the same downstroke. It doesn't matter if it's a 2 footer or a 20 footer. We are putting the same hard, aggressive, firm contact onto the ball every time, rather than having a lazy upswing and a lazy downswing, which I've seen a lot of amateurs do. That's how to get consistent roll. So basically, we've got how to get the consistent roll now. We've got the club face square, we've got consistent roll, we've got the basics now on the mechanics of how to putt. That's basically everything we need to know about the basic mechanics of putting. It's very, very simple. Now it's basically down to green reading now, and obviously drills later on. So green reading, there's a number of different ways to read greens. Okay, I have 3 methods. There's different methods, but the most common ones I use is obviously I check the wear on the hole. If there's more wear on one side than the other, say the right side of the hole, that's an indication it's going left to right. I do the I don't do the aim point, but I do with my feet. So if one foot feels higher than the other, say for example, my right foot here feels higher than my left, that means the putt's going to go right to left. There is, I obviously do it with my putting stance. So for example, I'll get over the putt halfway there, I'll go halfway there. You've seen it before, I'll get halfway there. I'll go, okay, my putter head feels slightly below my feet, therefore it's going to go right to left. Or you'll also see me go halfway there, then all the way back to the putt, and make sure again, that's the 3 methods I use. The old system is still in use. You can still use it very well. The high point, so you look around, you go, where's the high point of the hole? Okay, the high point's just over there, right at the top left corner of the green. You can see it's sloping down that way. We can tell it's going left to right that way. You can tell how to read greens that way by looking, where's the high point? The high point's there, it's going down this way, so we also know that the putt's uphill. And basically, is it uphill, downhill? You can also do it the old-fashioned way again, looking at the side of the putt, very simple, and just seeing if it's going up and down. That's basically how to read greens. There's no mystery. I'm not seeing anything different to a higher handicapper, and I'm certainly not seeing anything different to what a professional is. The only difference is the professionals know every single little bit of subtle slopes that they're looking for. I don't. That's the only real big difference in their green reading, and obviously they've got caddies to help them. But apart from that, that's basically just all what professionals do. And after that, what they do is the base it from there. So they just imagine, say for example, okay, this is about a 30-foot putt. It's uphill. I know it's uphill. I'm going to hit it about 7 or 8 foot longer than I would. I know it's going to break left to right. How far is it going to go? It's going to go about, let's say, 5 balls to the left. So they just imagine the hole's an extra 7 foot up and off onto the left-hand side, the 5 balls off to the left, and that's all they do. They imagine the hole's there. That's what I do. I just imagine the hole's there, and then you hit the putting stroke as if you were going for the hole there. Obviously, it's not, because we've got the break and all the factors that we've worked out and everything, and then hopefully it'll end up somewhere near the hole. And that's basically everything basic that you need to know about putting. It's not hard. Then after that, it's on to drills. So with drills, there's a few very basic ones to get the club head square. Make sure everything's in alignment and everything. Just put 4 balls round a hole. Let's just imagine the hole's here. We know it's down there, but let's just imagine it's here. And this is a drill that Phil does. This is what Gary played. This is all how the top players learned. The essentials for a tear is 3 foots. Okay, so when you get 3 footers, 2 footers, whatever, even if you're just playing on your own in a general round, don't give yourself them putts. You can't do it in a competition. So obviously, why would you do the same thing as what you're doing in general play? I never give myself putts. I just put it out because that's what I do in competition. So I'm just replicating what I would do in a competition. And this is a drill I did really well to learn how to at the finish. I did really well because as I say, the more you do it, the better you become. I wasn't great at the start. I managed to do about 28, 29 on a row before. I missed it at times, but Phil does 100. Now, don't try and do what Phil does. Obviously, if you're starting out, try and do 4 balls, 5 balls around the hole. Try and do 5 balls and move on to 10, then 15, then 20. And once you get past 20, that's serious. You know what I mean? And I say the best I've ever done is 28. I'm lucky sometimes if I do get to 10 and stuff, because the greens and everything, it's grass we're putting on, and obviously there's natural undulations and stuff. Even 5, sometimes 5, it's a struggle to get. Wayne Riley used to do it. He used to say that way around the hole. He used to do 3 footers, try to do 6 in a row, and he said sometimes I wouldn't be back home till 11 o'clock because I couldn't put it in the hole. And you know, Wayne Riley was a top professional. So, but don't try and do what Phil does. Try and do 100. He does 99, Phil, and if he misses one, he goes back and has to start all over again. But yeah, that's your drills. And when you're doing these drills, learn a routine. Okay, so the routine has to be exactly the same. Now, a routine is unique and different to everyone. I can't tell you what routine you need to put. It's the same as a scratch golfer can't tell me what my routine is. It's all different to everybody. You can tell them basic things, but how to read a green, but the order they do it is down to them. Every routine's different, but you repeat the same thing over and over again. So for my routine, for example, say the hole, well, I'll put a ball here. You'll see me, imagine that to that ball's edge, the hole. You'll see me. First of all, my routine is I'll have a look at the way of the hole. I'll read if it's left or right. Then I'll go halfway to the putt. I'll go like that, get a feel for it, saying, yep, that's left or right there. I'll then go back to the ball here. I'll go next to it and go, yep, that feels like left or right. Then I'll step over the putt, as you've seen, like that. And then I do the putt like that. That's my routine. That's unique to me. That's what I do. Now I can't tell you to do that. Okay, it's down to you what routine you want to do. If you want to do looking at the high point, if you want to do looking at the side of the hole, that's entirely up to you. That's unique and different and different to the individual. You can't tell somebody the routine and everything, but make sure you do it over and over again. And for God's sake, don't do what I do sometimes when you get a little 2-footer like this and you've got somebody up your backside, well, in a competition, and just go, all right, I'll just and then you miss the putt because it's completely out of your routine. This is what all the top putters were great at, doing the same routine over and over again. And Phil was a perfect example of this when he won the Masters. He had that 6-footer. He did exactly the same routine. Now he's done this thousands and thousands of times before. He never changed it. He got there, he got to the ball, he did exactly the same stroke, he got over the ball. I'm very much like Phil the way I do it. He's obviously top class golfer, so if you're going to learn from anyone, learn off him, obviously not me. He just got over the ball and then in the hole, because he's done that thousands and thousands of times before, and he knew exactly what to do in that position. And like I say, now it's just down to drills. The drills are very, very simple. Like I say, get the balls around the hole, and all you're doing for the 3-footers is try to do as many as you can. So it's a case of just going, right, 1, 2, but every time you're doing the same routine over and over again, okay? 3, and it doesn't matter if you miss them or not. We're not interested in if we're missing them or not. We're just interested first in getting the routine, and then you develop into actually, right, I've got my routine spot on now. Now I can focus on whether or not I'm getting these 3-footers in the hole and start up again. I'll try and do 5, then try and do 10, and get up to a level that you feel you can reach. Say if you can say I can do 10 in a row. Try and do 10 in a row, and then if not, you start back again. But don't worry, like you say, sometimes I do it and I can't get five putts in the hole, and I end up doing like Wayne Riley, and I don't end up going back hole. Just different greens. Remember, we are putting on grass with natural bumps and undulations, so don't get too upset about it if that happens. And then the next one, the next drill for the speed. Now the speed's very, very easy to do. You just drop balls. I'll show you what I mean. You start off, let's say the hole is, we'll say the hole's this white muck here. Put it about 10 feet away, 20 feet away, 30 feet away. You can go all the way back to 30 to 50 feet if you want, to get a reference system. And all we're trying to do is we start off, okay, we'll start off with the 10-footer down here. And we go, okay, what's the speed like there? All we're doing is we're trying to get it to that white dot. Imagine that's the hole. We go, okay, we're trying to get it level with that white dot. We're not interested where it goes. Okay, I've just about got there. I'm about 4 inches short of the hole. I've just about got there. Now we'll try 20 foot away. And I'm going to be well short there. Yeah, so you see, right, I'm well short there. 30 feet, let's see what 30 feet's like. Let's see if I can get as close as I can. And that's it, the ball. That would have ended up probably the same sort of distance, 4 inches away. But that's how you do it. That's how you get, right, how do I become good at speed? We're not interested where the ball goes. We're just interested in seeing, can we get it as close to the little spot area, level with that as close as we can. And that's it with putting. It's very basic. It's very basic. And then from there, you can develop a basic technique. It doesn't have to be special. It doesn't have to be marvelous. It doesn't have to be anything. But it teaches. It teaches you the very, very basics, the basic mechanics, and basically that's all you need to be a great putter. You don't really need anything else. That's basically it. Nothing much else to say really about putting. Just another big thing is obviously the old school say keep your head down. That's still very important. As I say, Gary plays a massive ambassador. He does a drill where he puts it and he actually turns his head the other way. Now he does that to say, right, I don't want my brain to instantly think when I touch the putt, look that way. He used to do it where he put it and he went like that. He said, I don't want to move my head. If anything, I want my head to go the other way, because if I move my head this way up before I've made contact with the ball, the face is opening up and it's making the ball go off to the left. So the old school system is still very important. Keep your head down. And apart from that, that's really it. Hopefully, I don't want to go into any more detail. That's about enough as I can for your higher handicappers, but hopefully that teaches you, if you're just starting out or you're sort of a 25 handicapper looking to be more aggressive with your putts, hopefully that information's helped you out. Next bit's going to be the chipping 101. We'll get down to that next. See you for the next part of the video. Okay, for the next part of the video, we're going to do chipping 101. Now, I've done this before. You've seen it on the previous video. If you're new to the channel, this will be good for you because everything's put into one hour long video. Now, chipping 101. Now, again, this is going totally off the textbooks. This is obviously being made famous by Phil Mickelson. I'm basically just spouting what Phil teach you, really. Now, chipping 101. Now, the old technique for chipping, well, basically everyone knows how to chip. Okay, we know how to chip. It's very easy to chip. It's just making contact with the ball and trying to get it onto the green. But a lot of amateur golfers that I see don't know how to chip aggressively. That's the right way to put it. They don't know how to chip aggressively. They don't know the simple technique that's aggressive to get the ball as close as they can to the hole with the chip. Now, the old system used to be middle of the stance. Again, same technique as putting. One swing to the speed of the chip. So just pretend that dark patch there. That's where the flag, obviously the flag's over in that general direction, but I'm not chipping it over there just now. I'm just focusing on, let's see that dark patch there on your basic chip. It used to be that sort of thing. One swing and different paces for the chip. Now, that's not aggressive. It's not consistent. It's basically, to me, about, I would call it nonsense, to be honest, but that's just my opinion. The way I do it is, well, same as putting. It's firm, aggressive contact, but the downswing every time is the same aggressive contact. Okay. With wedge play, they're very, very good now, but we've still got a blade, so we've got to eliminate the blade coming in. And with chipping 101, we want club head speed, not hand speed. What does that mean? Basically, what that means, it sounds complicated, it's not. What it means is we don't want any of this. Okay, none of the flicking of the wrists. The minute we flick the wrists with chipping, it's a kiss of death. We want the wrists cocked. We want to keep them cocked. We want them following through with the target. We want to eliminate the blade. What's one way of eliminating the blade? The weight's got to be on the front foot. Our way of learning this is getting on the front foot and doing that. The weight's got to be 70-30 on the front foot, and we're driving the club into the ground. Now, this doesn't work every single time around bare lies, and we will go into the complexities later of how we deal with that. But at the minute, we're just dealing with the basic chipping 101. Now, what's the most aggressive when we've got grass? We're either on a slight uphill lie or a flat lie. What's the best way of doing it? The third thing we've got to think about with chipping is, do we want to go high or low? We've got to make a decision. Do we want to go high or low? If you want to go low on the chip, your basic chip, we put the ball to the back foot. If we want to be higher, we put it to the front foot, and it'll land softer and it'll check up a little bit quicker for us. So if we want to go low, we put it to the back of the stance, chipping 101 back of the stance, driving it through nice and low. It runs out a little bit, eventually it checks up. Now, if we haven't got as much green to work with, we can then go to the front of the stance. So again, hinge and hold, cocking the wrists, weights on the front foot, everything's on the front foot. We're driving the club through the turf, and we don't break the wrists. So that's come out a little bit higher. That's probably not going to reach as far. It's going to check up quicker, and that's when we haven't got as much green to work with. No man's land and chipping, you can chip like that, but I mean that's no good really, because it's neither going to go high, it's neither going to go low. We aren't really making a decision there. We've got to make a constant effort of where we want to go from here. And like I say, from that position, really, we can do anything we want. Like I say, if we want to go low, there's the low chip. If we want to go high, and the shorter the hole, I mean, if it's shorter, we can go back there. We just go shorter. We just don't chip it as far, run it to the front of the green. If we want to go longer, or we want to go for a higher shot, we put it at the front of the stance, hit it a little bit harder. There we go. It's going to advance a little bit more. See how quickly that's checked up? And from there, that's your basic 101 chipping. It's as simple as that, and everything's following through with the target. Weight in the front foot, driving through, and everything's going to the target. I guarantee you might be able to fat it with that technique, but you'll never blade it. And from there, we just, if we want to go higher or lower, we just change our stance and grip. Very, very basic. So from there, if I say, right, okay, see if there's a bunker like there ahead of me, or I've got a flight that's high because it's an elevated green, I just open my stance and grip a little bit more, front of the stance, and just drive the club through. There we go, that'll check up quicker. Then from there, if I need it to go even higher, it's exactly the same technique. I just open my face and open my grip even more. Higher. And if you really, really want to do an extreme shot, which Phil calls it sexy, I call it just good, a really clever canny shot, you can go even steeper, open it right up, and it stops and it just lands on a penny like that. And that's it. The other way is you can close the face and close your stance, and you can bump it low, even lower if you want to really scuttle it up with a 58 or 56 or whatever it is it uses, and just scuttle it up like that. Sergio was good at that, and that's all Lee Trevino did round the greens, and it's exactly the same with Phil. Phil does exactly the same round the greens, and from there you can do anything. It's then down to you to learn between the interaction between the turf, the interaction between the turf and the ball. That's all it is. You've got to learn and what to do. If the ground's firmer, like you do when you get linksy turf, you've got to drive the club, you've got to get the weight on the front foot even more, and you've got to drive it through more. If you're on the downslope, you've really got to drive it through. It's a very risky shot, but you've really got to drive it through if you want to get the desired effect of getting the ball exactly the same as them shots. And that's it from there. It's basically down to the individual learning from there to tinker and change. The most basic technique is the chipping 101, and there we go, that's the result of it. The next one I'm going to do is, obviously you've seen the flop shot, you've seen everything. That's basically 70% of what you need to know. The next one is, okay, the chipping 101 isn't necessarily always what we go for. There is a situation where we're in somebody's divot or lie, and we have to go for the toe down chip, which I'll show next. Okay, next is the toe down chip. Now this again is a little bit, I wouldn't say it's controversial, but it's not what you're going to learn in the textbooks, put it that way. Again, this is something that Phil does. If he's in a divot or he's in a bare patch, that'll get us out. Now, basically with the chipping 101, I'll try and find a better ball patch for you. There's a good one there. Now with the chipping 101, it's normally in 80 to 90% of the cases around the green. It's a very, very good technique. It'll get you out most of a bad positions on the course. It'll help you get as close to the hole as you can. But the one problem still is occasionally you're going to get your bare patches and you're going to get people's divots. This is especially going to happen in winter golf. It's going to happen especially in the middle of the season where there's loads of competitions happening, and it's a right nuisance, to be honest. And normally what happens, if we were to use the chipping 101 technique, the two common things are going to happen. One is there's no grass whatsoever. You can see it's right in a bare patch. It's in someone's divot. There's no grass whatsoever. What's going to happen is you're going to chop it and it's just going to go 2 foot ahead of you. Or the most common thing is you're going to try and force the height yourself when you're chipping, and it's just going to scuttle and you're going to blade it like that. Now that's actually going to be half all right, but you know what I mean. I'm going to be more aggressive with it. It'll shoot off and it'll end up in the bunker, and that's no good to anyone. One of the ways is obviously what I do at Wilton, because I need it for the slopes and undulations and everything, is I have an Odyssey chipmaster. They are available. You can get them secondhand on eBay or secondhand golf shops like what you call it, secondhand golf clubs or golf clubs for cash, places like that. You will find them occasionally, these chipmasters, and they're very good, because these you can't make an error. You basically just use it as a putting stroke and out you go out the divot. Absolutely consistent as anything, and that's the best. I got it ex demo. That's the best £85 I ever spent. That it really helped me. Just hold on a second. Yeah, sorry about that. There was some lads who came onto the ninth tee box. I saw them walking down, and I said, right, I'm going to have to move on to a different hole. So I'll continue what I was saying. Obviously done the 101 chipping technique, and that's down to you after everything I've said there about the interaction between the turf and the ball. This is the toe down chip. Now the toe down chip, how do we get out of sort of a bare lie like this, or out of someone's divot? I think that's someone's divot there, to be honest. I'll put that in there next to show you. It really is frustrating for golfers when they do eventually get into a bare patch or they get into a divot. I've basically showed you what's going to happen. You'll either chop on it, you can scuttle it if you do the 101 technique. Now this is very, very different. The toe down chip. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the camera right here. Now the toe down chip, it's totally different. Okay, what we're trying to do this time is all of this can interfere with the ground. Okay, so what we're trying to do with the toe down chip, instead of having all of the bounce of the club, we're trying to lift the club up. Now we've only got the toe to deal with, so there's less chance of the interactions of the ball digging into the ground, because we've only got the toe of the club to deal with. It's very much like a putting stroke, okay, where we're putting it to the back, middle back of the stance, and it's very much like a putting stroke. Okay, we're just going like that. We aren't trying this time to drive into the ground, because if we try and drive into the ground with no grass, all that's going to happen is the blade of the club is going to dig into the mud or the divot where there's no grass for any give, and it's just going to stick. And like I say, the ball's going to jump 2 foot ahead of us, and it's going to look disgusting. So the toe down chip is the other alternative. Obviously, people use an 8-iron now. The reason I don't like using an 8-iron is people get to the minute they start the backstroke, especially with like little 15 10 foot yard chips, they get the minute they go to the backstroke, they have to follow through with the downstroke, and it's very rushed, it's inconsistent. And what you're trying to do with the toe down chip is you're not looking to hit it at the center of the club. You're trying to get it at the less dead part, where it's more consistent. The dead part of the wedge here on the left toe, on the right hander's club, it'll be the inside right of the club, is a lot more dead than an 8-iron. So you're going to get it, it's dead, so you're going to get a consistent roll every time. Second thing is, we're not driving it, so it's not going to get stuck, and we're using just the toe of the club rather than the entire bounce of the club, in which case a lot of it can get stuck in. So I don't use a 58 for this. I generally would use my 50 degrees. I put my 48 in today for winter play, because I want that extra yardage. It's starting to become a little bit more soft to the ground, so I'm putting my 48 in because it's responding more to the greens. And it's basically a putting stroke, so I'm going just back of the stance, I'm keeping the wrists firm, and I'm just trying to hit it onto the outside of the club like this. Okay, and that is basically it. That's the toe down chip. If I want to hit it shorter, I'll try and get it a little bit shorter with that ball. I just do a little shorter backstring, firm contact still, but I'm not driving the club through. I'm just chipping it. That's going to come, and it's going to come a little bit shorter. If I want it to go longer, exactly the same motion. Just it's a backstroke, a longer backstroke, and that's going to go even longer. And that's the toe down chip. If you get into somebody else's divot, or for example, even out of a divot, like a bad divot like this, it'll probably do the trick. There we go, back of the stance, and it'll get you out of that. It'll get you out of that situation. It's very consistent. It's very good. Unlike an 8-iron where you feel as if you have to go back and quickly follow through, and that'll get you out of most situations. And again, it's just down to the length of the backstroke. Aggressive contact, nice and firm. We're not driving it. We're just lifting the club up, and we're using it like a putting stroke. And it won't, even in there where half the ball was covered with the other person's divot, it did the trick. And that's the toe down chip. The only other thing that really you need to know is uphill and downhill lies. Now, like an uphill lie when you're chipping, I'll go back to my 58. When it's a downhill slope, where is my 58? There it is. When it's a when it's the ball's above your feet, sorry. All you're doing when the ball's above your feet, you're going lower on the shaft, like to adapt for it. Same thing, chipping 101, same idea, very much the same idea, and it's just to counteract it, aim a little bit left, and that's it really. And it's the same for downhill, longer on the grip, up and down. That's it. Next bunker play, and that's it for around the greens. I'll see you for that. Right, I've had to move on again to this to the fifth now for bunker play. Now, bunker play is very much like the chipping 101 technique. It's pretty simple, to be honest. In normal circumstances, when I mean normal circumstances, I'm on about just your normal bog standard bunker, and you're trying just to splash out the club. Now, a lot of people, again with amateurs, I see a lot of this, of them trying to force the height themselves. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of, again, the two most common things I see out of a bunker. Well, I'll give you, I'll just show you. It's exactly the same as with chipping. They either chop on it, they go like that, it goes into the face, or they try and force the height themselves and they scuttle it along like that. That's totally counterproductive of getting out of a bunker. You'll see amateurs, you'll even see it on YouTube, that what do you call him, Mr. Barlow, Steve, he does that. He's the scoopy whoopy when he does that, and that's totally counterproductive to get out of a bunker. We don't have to do that. The wedges are designed now that they're so good, they do the work themselves. Okay, so the basic bunker shot is we're driving the club through the sand, that propels it out the ball. This isn't actually a standard bunker, it's actually quite a steep lip, but I should be able to get out of this no problem. We drive the club through the ball, the weight is on the front foot, exactly the same as chipping 101. Now, with bunker play, everything's got to be going in line with the target, okay? We want the wrists cocked early, we want to be driving through, and we want high hands, okay? You'll never see a good wedge player or a good bunker player finish doing that, okay? Now, we can do this technique of driving through, cocking the wrist, driving everything through, propelling the ball out of the sand. But if we do that, I'll do it again in a full motion for you, because I find that difficult to do. Do that doesn't count as a good bunker shot, okay? Because the hands, even though we've kept the wrists cocked all the way until we made contact with the ball, the wrists at the finish ended up like that and made us flick. And what happens when we flick the wrist? Kiss of death. The next thing you know, it'll be we'll do that, and there, and it'll be there. Then the next thing you know, before we're hitting the ball, we'll be doing that, and then all sorts can go wrong for an amateur golfer with that. We must keep the hands high, driving through the sand, weight on the front foot, and we're really driving, and that's what's propelling the ball out. We're not doing the work ourselves. The wedges now are sophisticated and good enough to do that for us. 56, 58, 60 degree, whatever you're comfortable with, they're now sophisticated enough to get us out the bunker. So that's your basic bunker shot. Front of the stance, open the grip and stance slightly, standard blast shot, and there we go. I cocked my wrist a little bit there because I've been doing that. It's put in my mind. I tried not to, and I tried to stop me from doing it, but I have to go back to doing that now. And that's your basic bunker shot. And again, with a bunker shot, I mean, you don't necessarily have to have it at the front of the stand. If you've got enough room, and it's the back here, and it's slightly longer, and you don't want it to check as quick, you can go to the middle of the stance, do the same thing like that, and you'll hit the ball further. You see the further trajectory, and it'll run further for you. If you don't need to blast it out like a greenside bunker, if it's about 40 yards, you can put it in the middle of your stance, and you can still play the same sort of shot, only we're not driving it as much, and obviously we're trying to pick it out cleaner. And you saw that one, the trajectory, and it goes out further. That's what you do for about a 40-yard bunker shot. And after that, that's it really about bunker play for your standard shot. Now, the only time I've said you don't chop on the ball, okay, and that's generally 90% of bunker shots, you don't chop on the ball. If you chop on the ball, it's just going to whack against the face. Sorry, that's something in my throat there. I think I've swallowed one of them flies. Now, it might not even work with this because this is a very, very steep bunker. Now, the only time you can chop on the ball is when you're up against the lip and you've got no other option. Your club's going to drive into the, it's going to drive into the face. And again, this is when most amateurs try and do that, or they try and go steep and they try and do that, and just totally counterproductive. You hit the edge and it does what it's got to do. Now, I might necessarily get out of this. I'm going to go over here. It's just a little bit shallower. But your best chance of getting out when you're up against the face is still driving the ball through the sand, but you're stopping your swing there. God, it's terrible, those flies that fire out, those midges. And you're driving through, and hopefully that's enough to propel it out. Now, as I say, this is a very difficult shot, and this is the only time you chop on the ball. You've got no other option, but your club's going to go into the sand there, and you've got to either stop it or let it just hit into the bank like that. You can't follow through, and that's the only time on the upslope, when you're right up against the face of the bunker, that you're allowed to chop on it. And what we're doing, we're, like I say, driving it more, and that's how we do that, okay? It might have even have helped me getting a little bit further. We're driving it through, and like that. And that's the only time we can chop on the ball. But that is propelling through that. It's obviously not going to check up as much. It's not going to have the spin, but that's going to get you out of the bunker. There's a bloke coming down now on the force, so I better get a move on. What else have we got to do? Oh yeah, hinge and hold. I'll see you for that. Okay, so the very last thing I want to show you about greenside stuff. Well, it's not really greenside stuff. This is a bit further out. This is your sort of 40 to 80 yard wedge shots, okay? Now, the old technique again was just baloney about having the same backswing clock system. So like one get it to 10 o'clock, and then the downstroke is different speeds varying depending on the type of shot you're facing. I just think that's baloney. Hinge and hold. The hinge and hold, just an extension of the 101 chipping technique, only this time we're putting it in the middle of the stance for wedge play. This is about roughly, say, 50 yards. And again, it's a clock system. It's just same aggressive contact, same swing, 100% same contact, aggressive contact, but we're just lengthening the back stroke. So the hinge and hold method, very, very simple. So say it's a 30-yard shot. All we're doing, hinge. That wasn't very good. Ignore that one. So it's hinge, hold. That's better. That's a bit cleaner contact. 40-yard shot, exactly the same. Hinge and hold. The wrists are cocked. The weight's on the front foot. We're driving through, and basically that's the hinge and hold method. It's very, very simple. And we were talking about the complexities before, about getting over the trees. This is the way you do it. You basically, say you've got a 50-yard shot over the trees, You put the ball to the front of the stance, and it's just hinge and hold. Just slightly open the face stance, exactly the same to get it over the obstacle. You can do it with irons. You can do it with 9-irons, pitching wedges. It's exactly the same thing to get over a high obstacle. And that's it. It's just, and then it's basically a reference system. So you hit it. So what's roughly a 40-yard swing, 50-yard swing, 60-yard swing, 70 yards, probably all the way I can go with my 58. And that's just the hinge and hold. Just hinge it, hold it, everything in line with the target, waist 70-30, driving it through. And that's it. That's hinge and hold. We've done bunker play. We've done just about everything around the greens. I think we're ready for shot shaping now. Don't get onto the shot shaping thing, by the way, until you've gone through everything with the chipping 101, the putting, the bunker play, and everything like that. This is obviously for higher handicappers, 15 to 25 handicappers who are really looking for the simplest and most aggressive technique. So, yeah, that's it. We're going on to shot shaping now. See you for the next part. Okay, next thing is going to be shot shaping and manipulating the flight. Now, again, like I said with all my other previous videos, obviously learn about the putting first, the chipping 101, the hinge and hold, bunker play, toe down chip. Learn all of that stuff around the greens first before we get into the shot shaping. Now, shot shaping. Now, it's great striking the ball well. We all know basically how to strike the ball well. You have to hit the center of the face, and the ball obviously goes. That's easy enough. And it would be lovely to think that every hole's just straight. There's no bunkers to the front. The pin's directly in the center of the flag. In reality, as golfers, we know that just doesn't happen. It's off the elemental chart. It's Neverland. It's never going to happen. We're never going to be faced with a situation where all the pins are in the center of the green. We've got flat greens, totally flat greens, no bunkers. It just doesn't work like that in golf. So we have to learn to find ways to attack the pins. Obviously, I've told you about my game not being about consistency and finding the middle of the green. It's all about being aggressive and flag seeking and all that kind of stuff. And there's certain ways that we have to attack pins that we simply can't do with a straight shot. So this is just very, very basic how to shot shape, how to do a slight fade, how to do a slight draw, how to manipulate your ball flight. We'll get onto the complexities later on, how to get round a tree, how to do a steep one round left to right, right to left, how to keep it really low, how to get the ball high over obstacles. We'll go into that later on. Just for now, I can't get onto the practice area. There's a couple of people on the practice area, so I've come to here on the 15s on the rough, where it's a bit roughish anyway, so I can't really mess it up. And I just want to go through basic shot shaping shots with you. So the very basic, I've just taken a 7-iron here. It could be any iron really. Your basic shot shape, right? Most amateurs slightly cut the ball. Most amateurs tend to have a little, in my case it's right to left. For the right hander it's going to be left to right. They have a little cut round, and generally it's with a neutral stance, neutral grip, middle of the stance. This is normally the sort of ball flight you expect with a 7-iron. Sort of medium ball flight, springs on a little bit down there, right side of the fairway. If anything, very, very slight cut. Obviously, most amateurs do that, and a lot of professionals now are starting to do cuts. So that's your basic shot. Now from there we can really shot shape any way we want really. It's very, very basic. So the professionals will make it all complicated. Your PGA pros will say use your wrists and body positions and body turns and all that kind of stuff. But I just try and keep it simple. And the simple way to do it again is very much like the chipping 101. Our stance, where we put the ball in the stance, our grip, and our position, our alignment of the ball. It's very, very simple. It's simply where we put it in our stance, closing, opening the face, and obviously closing and opening our stance, and that's really it for your basic shot shaping. So say for example we want to do a little fade. All we do for a little fade is we slightly open the face, slightly open the grip and everything, and hopefully this will cut a little bit left to right for me. Which it's done. You've seen that. It wasn't the greatest to strike because I'm in the rough, but as you could see, the ball went right to left, little turn. There you go. There's your little fade to tack a pin that's in the left-hand corner, for example. If we want to do the opposite, if we wanted to go left to right, we simply just close the face, close the stance. We put the ball just a little bit further in front of the stance to help promote the squaring of the face and let us get a little bit more rounded, a little bit more of a rounded swing. Close the face, close the stance. Oh, that's not very good. Like I say, I'm in the rough. It's not ideal, but we'll try again. There we go. You could see it's going left to right. I aim for the bunker. It's manipulated around left to right. And that's basically it. From our basic shot, from our basic stance and our basic grip, we can shot shape slightly left, slightly right, anywhere we want, really. It's just a matter of it really is just a matter of adjusting the stance and adjusting the grip, and you just work it out for yourself. That's all it is. It's very, very simple. There's no wrist movement involved. There's no changing of your there's no doing real twisty movements and everything. We will come back to the complexities, how to get around trees and everything, excuse me. We will try and I will try and do that for you. That's basically what you need to know to attack pins in the left-hand corner, the right-hand corner. Now, manipulating the ball flight, it's very, very simple. Manipulating the ball flight, it's basically, well, where you put the ball in the stance, really. So, say for example, this is where Lee Trevino was really good. Now Lee Trevino, if he was playing links golf, he'd probably use his 3-iron or a 4-iron, but he would have it at the back of the stance. He would be using his chest more, very much like the linksy drive the linksy drives. You're using your chest more, and he's just compressing the ball, and it comes down to the lower ball flight, so it doesn't balloon in the air. Just like this, he would simply just put it at his back of his stance, drive it through more, and there we have it, a nice low ball flight. That's popping along down the right side fairway. It would just bump on and on and on, and he was very good at that. Now, if we're going for an elevated green, or we have to carry the ball a long way, all we do is simply put the ball to the front of the stance. We'll have a much higher ball flight. It'll check more for us. We will lose about 4 or 5 yards off our actual shot distance. So say your 7-iron goes like me, 155, it'll probably go anywhere between 145, 150. I'm going to lose probably 6 or 7 yards because it's higher in the stance. I'm promoting more loft, and the ball's going to check up quicker. But all it is, watch the difference in height with this at the front of the stance. Very, very simple. Right at the front of the stance. Much higher ball flight. It's going to land a bit softer. It'll check a little bit quicker. And that's how you get to an elevated green. Very, very simple. And that is basically shot shaping in a nutshell. The basics of shot shaping. I'll go through the key points again. It's just your grip and your stance, okay? Slightly opening the grip, slightly opening the stance for a fade, slightly closing the face, slightly closing the grip for the draw, and you just work out how much you've got to tinker about with yourself, how much you want to draw it and everything. Obviously, the complexities are getting around trees, going left to right and right to left, which we're going to come on to in a second. Just give us 2 seconds. Right, so now for the complexities, which actually aren't that complex at all. Like I say, I don't really make shot shape, well, any sort of thing is complex if I can help it. I'll try and make it as simple as I can, especially for guys like yourself and guys like for me who like simple things and just focus all the energy onto the shot. Now, I should really have moved this a little bit back, actually, the balls. Give me 2 seconds, I'll just move them back just a little bit. Now, what happens, for example, this is when the complexities come in, but they're not that complex, to be honest. They're pretty much self-explanatory. What happens in a situation like this? Okay, when we've got overhanging branches, we have to do a left to right shot. And to be fair, there's varying degrees. This one's probably easy enough. You can probably even just go straight underneath, but I'm going to try and do a little draw for you anyway. There's also the ones where you go very steep. There's the rounded hook and there's the rounded slice. Now, I want to come to those last because you don't want to be doing them. You don't want to be doing them shots unless you're in a bit of a hole, really. So for example, if you need to go under a tree, which is one of the cases here at Wilton, again, in this situation, say, well, we've got 133 yards. Just take a lower lofted club. It's very, very simple. This is where the shot shaping and manipulating the flight comes into the equation. You have a situation like here, 133 yards. I need to produce a little draw. And the complexities are really simple. It's simply just putting the two together. That's all it is. So in this case, we want to hit it low, so we want it back of the stance, but we also want a little draw. So what do? We just close the stance and close the face. Very, very simple. So back of the stance, closing the grip, closing the face, and we're simple. That's not very good, because once again, I'm not in a very good spot in the rough. I'll do that again. And I've gone a little bit too far left, but you get the general to do. And then we go, okay, so that's gone too far left. Next time, all we do is back at the stance again. This time we closing the face and closing the stance more, as such, and slightly better, not as far left coming round. And you just keep on working on it. You just keep on working on it until you find the right sort of degree. It's getting a bit messy down here with all these leaves, and you just find that the right formula until finally we'll get there eventually. Hopefully this one's all right with the last one. I'll turn it really in this time, see if I can really manipulate it round like that. There we go. You'll see when eventually that works, is that's going to be on the green. Hey, we finally got there. But that's it. That is basic, just the basic grip. You have to just work the basic grasp of the complexities. It's putting the two together, and eventually it took us about 5 balls, but eventually I worked out which one I needed to do. I needed to close my face and close my stance as much as a little bit more aggressively there. Eventually I hit it, and it's come round, ended up on the green, and that's what you've got to do. That's the basic simple way, just putting the two together. There's nowhere really on the course to show you the rounded hook. Now the rounded hook is really only a shot you want to be doing in a desperate situation. Now the rounded hook is obviously when there's a tree directly in front of you. In fact, there's a ball just there. I'll get that. I don't know what that's doing there. Someone must have it must have been somebody's got it crept under a leaf, and somebody's not a very good one. Like, it feels pretty hard, but we'll use this. The rounded hook, again, this is just something you want to use very, very rarely. It's really closing the stance and really closing the face. And with this, you want to have a feeling. Now, there's 2 ways of feeling this. I used to, and I still do, have the feeling of hitting a shot through square leg at cricket. So what you're doing is, this is the only time you flick the wrist. You're really trying to flick it round, get it to the front of your stance and really driving through and flicking it round and trying to get that big rounded hook round the tree. The other one, I should do that one first. I'll show you what I mean. And it's quite a hard shot to produce, but that's basically the idea. It hasn't manipulated as much as I would have liked it to, but again, I'm not Phil Mickelson. Or Phil does it where it's a tabletop shot in tennis, ping pong, where you're doing that. You're trying to flick it through, and if you get the right connection, it's perfect. Now the rounded slice. Now, I'm not in the right position to do the rounded slice here, unfortunately. But the rounded slice is exactly the same. You don't want to be doing this unless you really need to behind a tree and you're really, really stuck. It's the total opposite of what we're trying to do with the draw, okay? So what we're trying to do is, I haven't got any balls to show you, but you are, have I? Oh no, I've got one. So I'll try and show you. I'm going to have to try, and it'll probably go in the bunker or left of the bunker. But with this one, you're going very steep on it, okay? So instead of just opening the stance, opening the grip just a little bit like this, you're really going at a steep angle, and you're trying to really slice it through. So the ball deliberately does a big slice. This is obviously going to the side of the course. If I was stuck behind a tree there and I've got to try and whip it round. Use these shots if you really, really need to, okay? These are shots of, dare I say it, a desperate golfer. These are shots of a desperate golfer where there's no other option, and this is the only time you would really use these shots. You're not using these shots regularly because they're not consistent. They're not, well, you could see with there what I was trying to do, that shot, they're not consistent, they're not going to work out every time. They'll get you close to the green. The best you can hope for is somewhere near the green. If you end up on the green, that's a perfect shot at our level. So this time, yeah, we're putting it in the middle of the stance, but this time we're really trying to chop through the ball. This is what Trevino used to do. He didn't do it to that extent, but that's all Trevino was doing. He was just putting it to the back, and he was just manipulating the flight that way. That's all he was doing. He was doing nothing tricky, nothing difficult. He was just using his stance, his grip, and that's how we do it. Like they'll scun them down, playing links golf and everything, and he was doing those low fades and those low draws. That's all he was doing. He was just manipulating the ball flight and shot shaping by simply his stance and his grip. He's doing nothing else. It's not rocket science. It's not difficult. So I'll try and show you the slice shot. I'm not going to absolutely whack it because it'll end up flying off into those trees, and I don't really want that. But I'll show you what I mean. Oh, really opening the grip, really opening the stance, and you're really trying to cut across the ball like that. You see what I mean? It's going straight through into the trees. But that's the only time you would ever use that shot. Keeps it low and it whips it round the tree. That really is a shot of a desperate golfer. You know what I mean? So don't be using that regular. Just use it when you desperately need to use it. And there's no other way. See, you're that part of the course, you're stuck right behind a tree, and you've got to really whip the ball around. That's really the only option you've got left. Obviously, the one where you put to the front of your stance, that'll get you over obstacles, so trees and stuff. You want to go over a tree, you really want to be putting to the front of your stance, and you really want to be driving the club through. Don't force the height yourself, okay? That's really important, especially with wedge play. If you're trying to get over the trees, do not force the height yourself. Front of the stance, let the club do the work, and high hands following through, let it go over towards the target area. And that's it with shot shaping and manipulating the ball flight. There's nothing really else at our level that we need to know. Maybe the professional fancy complexities, but that's basically all we need to know. And that's it. Hopefully that hasn't been too complicated for you. Hopefully that's simple enough. I've tried to make it as very, very simple as I can. I do that myself, make it as very, very simple as I can. I'm not a guy for complicated technical nonsense. I'd rather focus all my energies, have the most simple, most aggressive technique I can, and then just focus on the shot itself, working out all the percentages in my favour, and hopefully that style works for you as well. So yeah, now it's on to hitting the bombs and everything like that, the bombs and how to hit links drives next. So we'll move on to the next part. Okay, we're now on to the fun part of the video now, which everybody was looking forward to. How to hit, well, there's two different drives. How to hit the long, nasty, high, straight bombs. And obviously, everyone knows how to do the normal drive, and also how to hit a link style of drive. So this is basically the last part of the actual physical technique stuff before we go into the mindset and everything, which I'll do last. And everyone wants to know how to do it. Now, I feel a little bit uncomfortable here for you higher handicappers who really, before you go on to this, make sure that you've learned everything with the putting, make sure you've learned everything with the chipping 101, the hinge and hold, bunker play, shot shaping, and how to manipulate the flight before you even go into this. Because the real key to shooting 5-6 under your handicap and trying to win a competition is obviously 60-70% of the game is obviously the short game. You're putting in your chipping. So please do everything you can first. Learn those techniques, those simple techniques, master those techniques, the complexities, which obviously aren't that complex. And from there, go on to your shot shaping, and this is the last thing. Now, hitting bombs. Now, the very basics of trying to get longer distance is we've got to somehow have faster ball speed. We've got to get faster ball speed. We've got to get more club head speed. How do we do that? Now, obviously, there's all sorts of different ways. The old school used to say, you know, just puck it down on the fairway, and obviously when we had smaller drivers and everything, that's what we could do. We couldn't swing the club head at the speeds that we're trying to achieve now. I mean, the professionals are up there at 120 miles an hour. I was probably around 97, 98 till I learnt this technique. Now I'm up to about the 104, 105 ball speed, getting it down there. Average distance, if I hit it well, 270. My bombs can go 280, 285. But this is not a drive that you want to be using regularly, okay? Now, the way that I've learnt is obviously off Phil. Phil's more probably qualified than anyone to tell you how to hit these. But obviously, you guys say that you relate more to me, being higher handicappers, me sort of being the next level to a higher handicapper. So I'll try and teach this to you now. One thing we've got to learn is with the normal swing. If you see the normal driver swing, you'll get to you get there, you take your swing, and obviously that's not particularly dynamic. With it's same as iron play and everything. If we have one swing for every club, that's not going to produce ball. It'll get the ball down there, it'll get it nice and straight for you, and I'll probably hit it 240, probably 245, 250. I can get it nice and straight, but it's not going to produce ball speeds that get me all the way down there and get me a short iron into the green. But really, this is only to be used in a number of circumstances. One, when you feel as if you can drive the green. The other one is obviously a short par 5, where you feel as if you can get there in 2, and obviously a very long par 4. You wouldn't really use it in any other circumstance. I mean, rarely I would use this drive more than 3 or 4 times around. I wouldn't suggest you do this very often. Like I say, you watch Phil, he makes it look easy, but even him, he only uses it 3 or 4 times around when he really calls on it. So for example, probably like on Wilton, for example, the 6th hole and the 13th are probably the only 2 really I would try and bomb it, to be honest. There's no real other holes I would feel the need to really whack it down there. The 18th as well, that's my 3 holes, so probably the 6th, the 13th and the 18th. On your local course, you might have short par 5s, you might have very long par 4s where you feel, right, I need that extra distance, and hopefully this will help you do it. So like I say, an average swing, like I say, that's not going to produce much ball speed. In order to produce more ball speed, our front leg here it's got to give, okay? So in order for it, I mean, that's restricting our movement. There's two key elements to this, okay? First of all, obviously the weight's got to be, again, like every shot, on the front foot, okay, to try and give us that extra stability and propel the ball. This leg works as a whip, okay? So the leg, first of all, has to give. In order for us to produce faster ball speed, this leg has to give. The second thing is we've got to have, to get that extra rotation, is the heel raise. Now, it doesn't have to be a big one, it doesn't have to be massively exaggerated, but if you watch a normal swing, we can get to there with a normal swing. If we slightly raise the heel, it gets us all the way around. I can physically see the club out of my right eye now. I've got that extra leverage. And the last thing you can do to get the extra distance is open your hips up a little bit. If you're not as flexible, opening your hips up just a little bit. So instead of being, I'll show you this one, instead of being square on, you can physically open up a little bit. That'll help you square the face a little bit better. And the very last thing is, obviously, with bombs, we're hitting on the up, okay? So in practice, what does it look like? Well, the swing basically is we're getting to here, okay, with a slight heel raise. Now the leg's slightly bent, we're bending the leg slightly. Now what's happening here is as we put down the leg, the heel, this is acting as a whip. So it's whipping the club through to give us that extra club head speed that we need to propel the ball further. So that's basically the key points. It's very simple. It's nothing very complex and everything. There are other things you can do to increase your club head speed. There's certain drills you can do. One of the things that I use that's very, very useful is a swing speed stick. Now, what you're meant to do, like pre-round, I'll do a pre-round before a competition and everything. That's training my brain. I mean, when I was playing competitions regular and everything, I would be doing this all the time. I'd be doing this every day. I'd be doing, all it is you're just swinging it as fast as you can like that. You do about 15, 20 of them. Then you do it the reverse way, like that. And all this is doing, using this, I mean, you can buy them on Amazon. I got this for about £40 on Amazon. You put weights in it. As you advance, I've got one weight in it. The professionals have about 2 weights in it. And all this is doing is teaching you to swing faster. Okay, that's another way of increasing your ball speed. Obviously, the other way is flexibility training and all that kind of stuff that all the professionals do and everything. But this is a very good asset. And another thing is, if you've got a driving range or you've got a hitting net, a practice net at your club, go to the net and hit about 15 balls. Just take whatever, just sort of a mid iron if you want, 7-iron, 6-iron. It doesn't matter what it is really. Just take a 7-iron or whatever it is, put it into the net, and just hit 15 balls as hard as you can, and really launch into it with the heel raise. Just try and really launch into it. It doesn't matter where the ball goes. Just try and swing quicker, and that's going to train your mind to hit the ball quicker. So when it comes down to hitting with your driver, you're naturally going to feel it that way. The other one is, which I don't particularly like myself, because with the whip, I'm trying to whip it through and actually lean backwards to try and get the height, is swinging and taking a step through like that. That's another one which I'm not a big fan of, but I know a lot of people who are a big ambassador of that. So, but hopefully that's gave you the basics of how hitting the bomb works. Now I'll try and show you it in practice. I've obviously talked a lot there about how to hit a bomb, and with the tee, you get some people who really tee it up high. Okay, you sometimes get these professionals who really tee it up high. They know what they're doing. They can hit it perfectly. I'm not a big ambassador for that at our level. I'd like to see the ball half and half off the tee like it is there. I don't like to see it too high, because if we don't hit it right, we can do a snap hook, or what's going to happen is the balloon will just go up into the air, and everything that we've tried to achieve by getting that extra 20 yards has just been totally negotiated by the fact that we've just let it just balloon in the air. It needs to be going high, but it also needs to penetrate in flight, and that's another way of trying to get that. Okay, so, and another thing, don't hit it into the wind. I think today the wind, it is into wind today, so I wouldn't necessarily use it today. But say the wind was the other way, or the wind's, not doing much, this is when I would do it. So it's not going to be ideal on this hole, because the wind's obviously in our face, but I'll try and do one for you. And another thing is, you want with the grip, okay? With the grip, you want a nice light grip. You want all the tension out the forearms, not so much that the club's talking and it's twisting and it's doing all sorts of different things. We don't want that, but a nice light grip. So we're not physically as if it's a cobra trying to strangle it, if you know what I mean. We want a nice light grip, so all the tension here out the forearms goes. If we really tense up, it makes us want to finish the backswing before we go to the downswing. So it's a very punchy sort of motion because of all the tension. We want to release all that. You'll see with Phil as well, he's very loose. He'll get the club all the way back here like that. I can't do that. I'm obviously not Phil. John Daly was the same. I obviously can't do that. I'm not as flexible as Phil and all that kind of stuff. But you want to get at a good distance so you see the club, and then from there, heel raise. We are on the downswing, dropping the heel, straightening the leg. It's acting as a whip to spring it through, and that's going to give us the extra distance. hopefully I can do that in practice for you. I'll try and do that now for you. So also as well, it also helps, remember hitting on the up and just behind the front of the foot, okay? We are leaning back a little bit, but not too much as well, because remember we're trying to use the leg as a whip to spring it, to spring the ball up, so it propels it up and it gives us that jet pilot high flight that we're looking for. Right. That's just about perfect. It's gone a little bit too far left. Ideally, I would have liked it straight over the tree. It's in line with that tree over there. It's probably gone past the tree and everything. It's obviously not straight, but that's what I mean. It's not going to be perfect today. It's into wind and everything. It drifted it about, but that's how you do it. Okay, we're using the leg as a spring box. We're whipping it down, and the front leg give. Okay, I'll do it one more time for you. Hopefully I can get this one a little bit straighter. Like I say, it was perfect connection and everything. It just went a little bit left on me this time. Hopefully this one I can get it directly over the trees. And again, that's a very good connection. I'm not entirely sure that one. I think it's gone a little bit straighter, but I've lost it in the flight. But yeah, so that's how to hit a bomb. Now, your links drive's obviously a totally different thing. Now, this is actually the ideal scenario. If the wind was a bit more, say 20 miles an hour into my face. Now, with the links drive, it's the total opposite, okay? We're not trying to, it's not about clearing, getting the maximum distance and maximum clearance. This is about how do we keep it basically in the fairway, okay? Because the ball, if we do that when the wind's interface, the ball's just going to go up in the air and it's just going to balloon and it's just going to do whatever it wants to do. So in this instance, you want a low tee. Hopefully I've got a ball to show you. Yeah. And this time we want it so it's just some of the ball is just showing over the driver face, okay? We don't want to be having this teed up high and everything. And what we're doing really is we're trying to feel as if we're driving our chest towards the ground, okay? We're trying to keep it low, we're trying to keep it straight, and we're trying to get a low jet pilot flight. The ideal scenario is you don't really get it 18 foot above the deck, but that's ideal. Like for us, into the wind, that's what professionals do. We aren't professionals, so ours will go up into the wind, but it will stop your ball from drifting about in windy conditions. So instead of trying to use the leg as a whip, we've still got the heel raise and everything, but this time we're trying to drive it, and it's a very sort of punchy low drive, okay? Now this ain't going to go 280 odd yards. It's not going to fly up in the air. It's not going to have whatever sort of flight. I'll try and aim directly for the tree for you. But what'll happen is hopefully it'll go dead straight. It'll have a nice low penetrating flight. We're moving it a little bit further back in the stance, okay? So instead of having it right at the front, we're having it sort of middle front, but we're trying to drive it through using our chest to compress it and keep it low, which is perfect in windy conditions. And that's really, apart from your normal drive, what you need to know. Driving's pretty simple. Obviously the shot shaping thing you learn yourself with your driver, closing the face, opening the stance, whatever you want to fade it and draw it and do all that shot shaping if required with the driver. But most holes you just need a nice straight shot, so that's what we're going to try and see if I can do one of these linksy ones here for you. Which that is. That's perfect. A little bit of a fade on it. That's obviously with the wind. My target was that tree there, and there we go. I've managed to keep it about 18 foot up the deck. I didn't balloon it right all the way up in the air. That's ideal for links golf. It keeps it nice and low. It bounces along the fairway, a lot of hard bouncy ground, and that's it. That really is all you need to know about how to be aggressive with driving and how to be consistent with your driving, okay? Remember with driving, again, it's not all about distance. The modern game tries to make it all about distance. Don't kid yourselves that an extra 20 yards in missing the fairways is going to replace it in the fairway consistently. But there will be times where obviously some of you higher handicappers feel like, oh, there's a certain par 4, I wish I could get onto the green and 2 there. This might help you just get that little bit extra distance, the bombs. And obviously with links golf, if you're struggling with trying to keep it from ballooning up in the air, hopefully that'll help you. So I'll just very quickly go through the basic points again. With bombs, we are, remember that this front foot has to give, okay, otherwise you're going to end up getting injuries and stuff, because it's quite a violent twist when you're really swinging, and really when you're using it as a spring box to lean back, the only way you can go is back, so your leg has to give a little bit to retain your balance. The heel raise, when you're activating the downswing, it doesn't have to be a massive heel raise, but just enough to give you that little bit extra rotation. The leg, when it comes down, is acting as a whip, and the spring box straighten the leg and act it as a whip to whip the club through, to give you that extra club head speed. Slightly hitting on the up, remember, slightly leaning back, hitting on the up. Nice light grip, so there's no tension in the forearms, and that's basically how you hit a bomb. With again, links drive, feel as if you're driving your chest more, you're driving more down on the ball. The backspin, there is going to be backspin off the driver anyway, so that's going to keep the ball in a certain flight at about 18 feet above the deck, and that's basically it. Just driving it and keeping it low. Nice punchy action. Everything straight towards the target, and that's it. That's driving. That's how to drive, how to hit bombs, and how to hit linksy drives. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Last bit will be the mindset, and that'll be it. So yeah, let's go on to the next part. Okay, everybody. Final bit is obviously the mentality. Now, I've gone on about I go on about this in my channel and everything as well. It's getting a bit drizzle as well, so I thought I'd best to do it before it really starts to rain. Now the mentality is very simple. As I said before at the start of the video, it's all about as you can. Now the philosophy's simple. It's just going out there and trying to not play it as a course as a whole, but 18 individual holes. Okay, so when we go out there, we've got to look at this a little bit different. We're not looking to accumulate the score. What we're looking to do is try and basically, how can we get this ball into the hole in as little shots as possible, from tee to in the hole. And basically my mentality is I'm obviously not going to do it, but I'm trying to birdie every single hole. And it's going to happen. Like I said, on Saturday, I think I shot an 88 on Saturday. And because I kept on going, I had 2 bad holes, and obviously it made me look like an idiot. I think I had an 8 and a 9 or something like that on a par 5 and a par 4. It made me look pretty bad. Apart from that, I played okay. But that's what this style of play is going to do. Don't be put off by it. As I say, it's all about being relentless, being hardened, and whatever you do during the round, don't let up on it, because if you let up, it'll slowly creep into your game, the defensive style of play, and we don't want that. We're not looking for consistency. We're looking to shoot 5 or 6 under our handicap. That's our aim. So say on Wednesday, if I playing on the stable for a Wednesday, I'll probably be playing 12. I've got to get. I'm looking in my mind, I've got to win it, I've got to shoot a 77. That's what I have to go with the mindset. The chances are I'm not going to do that. The chances are I'll probably shoot between an 83 and an 80 of going there and thinking to myself, I need a 77, and that's all I focus on. I don't think about where I get shots. I play it to be handicapped. I've got to play where I get shots. I've got to play it safe where I get shots and make sure I get 2 points or this and that. I just play every hole on its merit, and I try and play it the most aggressive. And how can I get this ball from the tee into that hole as little as I can. like I say, if some of you are happy going round, I know this is going to be hard, especially those of you who just go around and are happy to have a knockabout and everything. That's absolutely fine, and I would never in a million years stop anyone from playing that way. If that's how you enjoy it, if that's how golf is to you. Obviously, I've come from a cricket background. I've been very competitive with my cricket, and I only see first and last place, really. That's really been my mentality ever since I've came into golf, and that's how I play. And it's just something to give a go, see if it works for you. It's worked for guys at the top end. You've obviously seen Gary play. You're obviously seen Phil Mickelson, all these guys. It worked for them, and it's worked several times for me. So that's the way it is. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Hopefully you've enjoyed everything getting put together all in one for you. I've basically taught everything that I know, but if you really want to learn how to be a real risk-reward player, you really want to know how to win competitions, you really want to be the best you can be and the most aggressive and as you can be to win competitions, don't listen to me, listen to the master Phil Mickelson. He is unbelievable. He's unbelievable, and all this has been self-taught. He goes against the textbooks and everything. It's worked for him. Gary Player very much the same. Lee Trevino very much the same. These guys, the Mavericks. Ian Poulter is very good as well. These are the guys I listen to. These guys keep it simple, and they focus all the energies into the shots. And hopefully, these simple techniques of how to be aggressive, and the most simple way to be aggressive, hopefully helps you. That's it. Thanks again for subscribing to the channel and everything. I hope everyone's enjoying it. Again, I'm looking to get people for the Scramble series and everything if anyone's interested. And after that, there's not much really else to say really. But thanks very much. Hope you've enjoyed the videos, and hopefully there'll be a bit more to come when I have time. But yeah, I'm enjoying it, and I'm enjoying getting back into competitive golf. Obviously, just the local competitions. I'm not all entering opens and stuff now and everything. My health doesn't really dictate that, but hopefully things will progress a little bit. Hopefully things will get sorted out, and hopefully we can take the channel forward, and hopefully some of you can try and help out. I would love it if some of us got a group together and we even had our own little in-house comps, or we sort of did videos or something like that, just to promote the northeast area. There's some great courses around here. There's some absolute clubs that some people don't even know about. I mean, this is one of them, and unfortunately we're struggling for members, and unfortunately this is 100 members here because not many people know about it. But yeah, hopefully more videos to come. I'll try and think of something. Like I say, anyone wants to help me with the Scrabble series, anybody wants to take part in it and help us out, and we'll promote the golf clubs, promote golfers to try and get into the game and everything, and hopefully we'll take it from there. Thanks very much. This is John, Predator Golf Channel. Thanks again. Wilton, my home club, great club. Come and try it out. If you do want to come and try it out, I can take you around in one afternoon or something if you want. I think the visitor's fee is about 20 quid or something like that. You can come and give it a go. If you want a personal tour with us, and that's it. Thanks very much. See you later. Bye for now.